here tonight. I am Richard Boykin, Cook County Commissioner for this district. I'm honored to be here. I want to thank God for each and every one of you who's here tonight and say to you that everything begins at home, everything, and then it goes out from there. I mean, all of the violence that we're seeing in the streets is really a reflection of what's going on in the homes of so many of these children. And so if the children are off the chain, then we better look at ourselves, because they really are a reflection of us. And so every day we have the opportunity to deposit into these children's lives memories that they will carry with them for the rest of their lives. And if I often start off with a quick poem or something, I'll say, life is but a minute, just 60 seconds, and it didn't seek it, didn't choose it. Forced upon us, we generally suffer if we abuse it. That tiny little minute, but all of eternity is wound up in it. And so every moment that we have, we must maximize that moment. We must maximize that moment to make an impact on our children's lives, and a positive impact. I'm a faith guy, and so the Bible teaches us that we ought to train up our children in the way that they should go. And when they get old, they won't depart from it. In fact, if they go away from it, they'll eventually, like the prodigal son, wind up coming to their senses, and they'll come home to that foundation that parents ultimately must instill in the children. It's not the role or responsibility of a teacher to instill those values. It is, in fact, us as parents, and I am one. I have a son who's actually 9. He'll be 10 in June, and I love him dearly, and I'm going to leave here and go pick him up, actually. It's my responsibility tonight. But what I would say to you is this, is that underage drinking is a serious problem in our country, is a serious problem here in our community. Now, we all know the dangers of it, but the dangers are children are trying to find out who they are and whose they are, their identity. And if they start drinking at an early age, it messes with their brain development, it messes with their internal organs, it stunts their growth in some instances. And if they get hooked on it, they got another problem, because they may not survive. A lot of people wind up drinking while driving, so they get DUIs and stuff like that. And they become a negative part of society. Some people are able to bounce back from it. I was with a gentleman earlier today, a big businessman, 83 years old, said to me, Rich, I'm an alcoholic. He said, look, I'm recovering, but I know I'm an alcoholic. I have a problem with alcohol. And how it began with him is that, he saw his parents drinking and his friends drinking. And then, of course, he started drinking. But oftentimes there are triggers and there are things that cause one to drink. And so I think that everything that we do, everything that we say, is a memorable impression on a young person, especially that young person that we have responsibility for. And so we ought to conduct ourselves in such a way that we don't want them to pick up habits that may cripple them in life and may cause them to have a growth that's not the fullness of that which God has called for them. And so what I would say to you is that it is never too early, never too soon to begin the conversation. And obviously on the internet and everywhere, of course, in the media, there are stories about young people who started drinking and who have caused great mayhem as a result of their drinking. I mean, they've killed people in the process, driving while under the influence, or they've caused their life to spiral out of control. The goal of all of our young people should be to live the American dream of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, to make a difference in society, to become the best person that they can possibly be. And I'll tell you this, that if they start drinking early, underage, it will stunt their growth. They won't be able to accomplish that which God has called them to do. They will have a detour in life where they will have to actually get some help, some professional help to deal with that issue. What I'd also say is this, that as parents we're often challenged to have these difficult discussions. None of us like to have the difficult discussions. I mean, I've spent my year and a half on the county board so far. The county board, by the way, is responsible for two things primarily: public health and public safety. We got a $4.5 billion budget would it be public health, public safety. So that means that anybody who does not have health insurance, they can get care at Stroger Hospital, which is Cook County Hospital. They can get care at Provident or any one of our network of clinics. Mental health care, they can get that as well. And then on the public safety side, of course, it's the jail, the court system, the juvenile temporary detention center, where a lot of these kids will wind up if they start drinking at an early age, because, again, I said that they're trying to find their identity. And if you drink at an early age, chances are you're going to be high out of your mind, and you're not going to know what you're doing and who you're doing it to. And so ultimately they'll wind up in the county, in the Cook County Juvenile Detention Center. And then too many of our children graduate from there and go to the Cook County Jail, and they go from there to state penitentiaries. So we don't want our kids to be in that place. But let me just say this, because I can't not pass up this opportunity. Too many of our children are involved in this violence that's taking place. We've had over 1,090 people shot in Chicago this year alone. The deputy chief, I was with Chief Tanksley a couple of weeks ago at a press conference where we unveiled the Community Stabilization and Anti-Violence Act of Cook County, a $50 million investment in young people, a jobs bill, a youth jobs bill. Just across the way in Austin, Austin leads all 77 neighborhoods in terms of the city, in terms of shootings. Just go on the Chicago Tribune shooting map and you'll see Austin. A whole bunch of shootings taking place over there. Horrific. Some people say, well, it's not my problem. You know, the reality of it is your problem. Because guess what? Last year, 2 years ago, University of Chicago Crime Lab suggested that gun violence cost the city of Chicago $2.5 billion. Would it be? $2.5 billion. I'd rather take that money and invest in people. I mean, 80-some% of the people being shot and 80-some% of the people doing the shooting look like me. They're black. So we got to do something about that. About 10% are Latinos, and then the rest are whites. But something's wrong in our society, and we got to invest in parenting, because we got too many single parents raising kids. We got too many grandparents raising grandkids, and they don't have everything that they need. And so I'm often confounded with the fact that if I want to drive a car, I have to take a test and get a license. And I have to renew that test every so often if I want to drive a car. If I want to be a lawyer, I have to take a test, I have to go to law school, and I have to renew my license every so often. I have to take these things called continuing legal education. If I want to be a doctor, I have to go to medical school, I have to take a test, and I have to continue my medical training. I have to do these refresher courses. How many people in here would want a doctor to do surgery on you who doesn't have a license? I didn't think so. I wouldn't either. That's a joke, y'all. It's okay. My time is almost up. But what I'm saying is this. In order to be a parent, there is no manual. There is no requirement. The only requirement, Adi, to be a parent is to be physically able to produce a baby. And what I've found is that there are a lot of 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds, 14-year-olds, 15-year-olds who are having babies. They're mere babies themselves. How is it that they're going to raise that child? That child already comes into the world at a significant disadvantage because that person is going to use the parenting that they saw. And if they saw bad parenting or negative parenting, they're going to recreate that with this child that they have. And so you have a vicious cycle. And so let me wrap a bow on this. I think there is nothing more important than investing in parenting and investing in these individuals who are caretakers for these children. Because somebody said it takes a village to raise a child. Well, we got to be that village. All of us. We must be that village. And we must provide people with what they need, resources, the materials, the understanding, the knowledge. Kids. These are not bad kids. All kids will do things that aren't that great. I mean, it's part of being a kid, right? It's growing up. But let me tell you, if you're intoxicated and children's bodies can't absorb alcohol like an adult's body can, then you're liable to do something that you shouldn't be doing. And you'll have to live with the consequences of it. But you won't even remember the next day because you were so out of it in your mind. So I think it's so important that we strengthen our parents. And when we strengthen our parents, we strengthen our homes. And when we strengthen our homes, we strengthen our communities. When we strengthen our communities, we strengthen our kids. And then they become productive citizens. So I encourage each and every one of you to influence your network of friends. Reach out and touch somebody's hand. Let's make this world a better place if we can. And we can. I know we can. I'll leave you with this. When if you've given your all, you've had that difficult discussion with your child or your stepchild or somebody who you mentor, when you've had that and it seems like you failed because the kid didn't listen, I'd leave you with this. The poet says this: when things go wrong, as they sometimes will, when the road you trudge seems all uphill, when the debts are high and the funds are low and you want to smile but you have to sigh. It says when care is pressing you down a bit, Vicky, rest if you must, but don't you quit. It says life is queer with its twists and turns, as each and every one of us sometimes learns. And many a failure turns about when she might have won had she stuck it out. So stick to the fight when your heart is hit. It's when things seem their absolute worst that you must never, ever quit. Don't give up. Don't give in. Don't give out. And remember this: the race is not given to the swift nor to the strong, but to the one who can endure until the very end. I thank you for being an outstanding audience. I love you. I appreciate you. And I know you will understand the importance of talking to the young people about underage drinking. Thank you so much, and God bless you.